You think being the nice guy will make people love you? You hold doors, you over-explain, you always go last so everyone else can go first. But look around. No one respects the man who needs permission to exist. The truth is simple. The world doesn't reward niceness. It rewards clarity. The man who always says yes eventually loses the right to say anything at all. So stop being the nice guy. Start being the man who means what he says and says what he means. Welcome to the Stoic Guy, where we rebuild men through philosophy, psychology, and discipline. This is where you learn how to think, not react. How to lead yourself first so no one can lead you astray. If you've ever felt walked over, ignored, or replaced, stay till the end. Because this isn't about hating anyone. It's about mastering yourself. If you're ready to build a calm kind of power, hit subscribe right now and let's get to work. 1. The psychology of the nice guy. Nice guy behavior isn't kindness, it's fear. It's the hidden belief that love must be earned through constant service, that conflict destroys connection, that silence keeps you safe. It's not virtue, it's a survival strategy. You say yes when you mean no because rejection feels like death. But every fake yes carves away a little more of your spine. Stoicism teaches that virtue means doing what's right, not what's comfortable. Kindness without strength isn't moral. It's manipulative because you give expecting a reward. Real kindness is choosing good, even when no one notices. The Stoic man helps others from abundance, not from emptiness. 2. Why women in the world lose respect for nice guys. People don't reject niceness. They reject neediness. When your generosity hides an agenda, others feel it. Women don't want cruelty, but they crave certainty. And certainty only lives in men with boundaries. You can't protect anyone if you can't say no. The nice guy thinks peace comes from avoiding tension, but the Stoic knows peace comes from mastering it. Respect doesn't bloom in comfort. It grows in the presence of backbone. Because in the end, people don't trust what bends too easily. The world watches how you carry your no more than how often you say yes. When everything about you screams agreeable, no one believes your convictions run deep. The woman who once said she wanted a nice man eventually tests to see if that niceness has a pulse, or just politeness. She pushes not to destroy you, but to locate your edges, because edges make a man real. And when you finally draw that line, calmly, without bitterness, something shifts. Respect enters the room where comfort used to live. If this hits, like the video and comment, power. And if you're done being the man who hides behind kindness, hit subscribe right now for more. And to the men still watching, respect. You stayed because you're not afraid of truth. You're not average. You're accountable. That alone separates you from the crowd. Let's continue. 3. Boundaries build respect. A Stoic boundary isn't a wall. It's a doorway with discipline. You decide who walks through, not emotion. Every time you hold a line calmly, you teach the world how to treat you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be." B1. A good man doesn't let guilt dictate his schedule. He gives because he chooses to, not because he's cornered to. Remember this: every no strengthens the meaning of your yes. Because the moment you draw a line, weak people call it selfish. Strong people call it clarity. The boundary isn't about control. It's about protecting the space where your peace grows. Without limits, your kindness turns into currency that anyone can spend. The man who says yes to everything eventually says no to himself. And when you finally realize that your time and energy are sacred, your entire world reorganizes around that truth. Boundaries don't push people away. They filter out the ones who are only here for access, not respect. 4. Kindness versus weakness. Kindness says, I see your humanity. Weakness says, please see mine. The difference is internal validation. The Stoic man can be gentle because he's strong enough not to need applause. Control over self breeds calmness toward others. People who mistake that calm for softness eventually meet the steel beneath it. That's the paradox of masculine virtue. Your ability to nurture comes from your capacity for discipline. Because real kindness doesn't seek witnesses, it seeks alignment. When you do good from strength, not fear, people feel the difference. One inspires trust, the other drains it. Weakness bends itself to be liked. Kindness stands tall even when misunderstood. The man who cannot say no cannot love purely because his giving is contaminated by the fear of loss. True Stoic kindness is not a strategy. It's a reflection of mastery. You no longer perform goodness for approval. You embody it because it's who you've become. And when people sense that your warmth is voluntary, not desperate, they relax into it. Because authenticity always commands peace. The strongest men are kind because they've met their own darkness and learned to guide it. Kindness isn't the absence of power, it's power under control. A sword sheathed until principle demands it. You're still here. And that means you're different. Most men stop listening when the mirror turns toward them. But you didn't flinch. You stayed because you'd rather grow than remain liked. That mindset alone makes you dangerous in the best way possible. Drop any emoji and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Real men learn together. Let's continue. 5. Reclaiming power through detachment. Stop chasing appreciation. The man who measures his worth by reactions will always be enslaved by them. Focus on becoming unshakable. Lift heavy, physically and mentally. Learn new skills, build structure, earn silence. When validation no longer fuels you, respect naturally follows. The Stoic path isn't about isolation, it's about independence. Detachment isn't apathy, it's control. You still feel everything, but nothing owns you. Because detachment doesn't mean you stop caring, it means you stop clinging. It's understanding that your peace isn't a product of someone else's presence. It's a reflection of your own discipline. The moment you stop waiting for approval, you free yourself from invisible chains. Most men fear being alone because they've never built something worth being alone with. But when you finally fill your solitude with purpose, it stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like power. Detachment teaches you to see rejection not as loss, but as redirection. Every silence becomes a mirror. Every disappointment becomes a teacher. The Stoic man learns to channel the same energy he used to waste chasing validation into building mastery. His mind, his craft, his body, his philosophy. And as his foundation strengthens, people start returning. Not because he begged, but because gravity doesn't chase, it pulls. Detachment is not running from emotion. It's holding emotion steady until it bows to reason. Let me give you a very crucial story about the man who said no. There was once a man who spent his life saying yes. Yes to extra shifts. Yes to favors. Yes to people who never stayed. One day he said no. No to disrespect, no to overextension, no to pretending. The world didn't collapse, it adjusted. The friends who used him vanished, the few who loved him stayed. And for the first time, his reflection didn't look exhausted. That single no became the seed of every future yes. His life didn't get easier, it got honest. And honesty is the foundation of power. because the first no was never about others. It was about reclaiming himself. Every time he held a boundary, he discovered a new fragment of his identity he'd been too afraid to protect. The man who once feared being alone began to realize solitude was his reset button. Without the noise of constant approval, his thoughts became clearer, his movements sharper, his words slower but heavier. The silence that once terrified him became the forge that tempered his will. Months later, he no longer felt invisible. He felt untouchable. He didn't walk with anger or arrogance. He walked with peace that couldn't be negotiated. The people who once took him for granted now spoke his name with quiet respect because he taught them something they didn't know how to name: dignity. His story spread not through words, but through presence. The quiet power of a man who finally stopped betraying himself to please others. And as the world watched, one truth became clear. A man who masters his no is the only one whose yes can change everything. And as he grew older, he realized that power had never been about control. It was about choice. His silence became his signature, his restraint became his respect, and his peace became his proof. And when younger men asked him how he became unshakable, he only smiled and said, "The day I stopped needing to be liked, I finally learned how to be loved." The world doesn't need more nice men. It needs calm, grounded, dangerous men who choose peace on purpose. So stop apologizing for having a spine. Kindness isn't weakness. It's controlled strength. If this message hit you, drop a like and share this video with another man who's tired of betraying himself for approval. Stay disciplined, stay detached, stay stoic, stay sharp. Because the man who learns to control himself no longer fears losing anyone else. Power isn't in domination. It's in direction. You don't rise by fighting everything around you. You rise by mastering everything within you. The day you stop performing goodness and start living it, you'll notice the noise fade and the world start to move differently around you. You'll speak less, but mean more. You'll give less, but impact deeper. You'll realize that strength isn't in how loud you can roar, but in how silently you can stand when tested.